best thing about having guests over is everything gets clean. How's everybody doing? It's Tuesday. It's Pride Week. Well, it's Pride Month. But this is Columbus's Pride Week, where on Saturday will be Pride down in downtown Columbus. Several other small towns around the city have had their Pride. And I think it's still going on in some places. Hopefully all of your Pride festivities happen without any incident. I think that's the nicest thing I can say with the ongoing of what's happening and all that. So I was gonna do a regular espresso today, but then I realized that what we were talking about last week with regard to the cherries, and got new cherries, good cherries, I think. I don't know I think this might mean 6/3/2025 is when they were picked, maybe? I don't know. Probably not. I don't know when cherry season is. But these are also California cherries. Brand spanking new, fresh out of the box. Look at that one. Oh boy. That's pretty. Because I mentioned with the portafilter, it's just water pressure compressing the puck. It's not any kind of physical. And then I realized I have an AeroPress, which is a little bit more physical. So why don't we use the AeroPress and maybe 3 cherries in the bottom of that? Three half cherries in the bottom of that, and then we'll see how that goes. See if we can impart more cherry flavor. I've got the Nicaragua La Bendicion here. This is a March coffee, so we should still be in great shape. There's not a lot left, which is unfortunate. I remember this one being really nice. Black grape, dark chocolate, Cabernet, ruby red. Should lend itself to cherries and the cherry flavor really well, so I'm pretty excited for that. I got this stuff out just in case I wanted to make an espresso. Also, I'm going to bring this out. I bought this when I bought the entire set, not realizing exactly that, it may not work properly. It's got measurements on it, and it's spring-loaded, so when you put it on here, you kind of go like this, and it'll compress. This part will come down, and then I could actually use this if it didn't do what I wanted to smooth it out. You know, I wanted to use this because it's got a lip, which could probably help with some of the coffee spilling out while I'm compressing it all the time. So we'll give that a shot. I don't know if we'll do it today. We might. I may bring something else out. We'll heat this up and that up just in case. But right now I wanted to focus on getting a couple of cherries into our AeroPress. Now I'm going to use the holes rather than the pressurized, because I just feel, this would be the best way, give it the best chance to give as much extraction from the cherry as possible. This has a really tight gasket, and then I've found that if you put paper over top of the gasket, it also helps with the particulates, the fines that can get through. Putting 2 of those together could be challenging with, cherry halves face down. So paper, big holes, that seems like the best way to go. Where are we at over here? Hi, Seahart. What you got going on? Hi. There's a buddy. He doesn't normally do that. He must have just heard me talking and been like, what the hell's wrong with you? Everybody does that, I think. Everybody's like, what the hell's wrong with you? So, but we had guests over, neighbors. We had a presentation. Our front porch, and likewise their front porches. After 5 years, maybe 5.5 years, I guess, our front porches are deteriorating just that much after 5 years. And so we've got a company that's going to be coming in hopefully by August, to put a really nice seal over top of it, because the problem we're having is that due to settling, the front porch has split just enough to create a hairline crack down it. And over the past couple of... We got it repaired by MI, because it happened in the first year. So they came in and did very little to cover it up. And they covered it up, but everything that they did wore out. It wasn't... I think it seemed like more of a temporary fix than something that would have, kept it... It's gotten worse. And it's gotten worse on a couple people's front porches. So, and our neighbor back here got a group to come in and fix it. Well, not fix it, but apply epoxies and resins and colorful coatings to, to fill in the crack and to make the porch look a lot nicer. So it's one of those kind of dealios. And we watched them do it. We went and saw the aftermath, and it's actually really nice. So, and they've got a 15-year warranty. I'm drinking the coffee, so I guess we'll just do one cherry. I can have this in my mouth. So, ooh, oh, those taste so good. Crap. Ooh, wow. Yeah, we'll just do two. And since we'll be, basically it's not just the pressure, it's also bringing this down and kind of crushing them a little bit. Let's see if that imparts anything. It might not. It's just coffee for funsies, so that's kind of what we're doing. So, all right, now, I think we do 19 grams ground at a high filter. Is this... I clean this thing out. I want to make sure when I get down to fine, it stops and doesn't want to go any further. Okay, good. Because that was a lot looser. I guess I cleaned it out really good. I'm going to do a high grind for this. Yeah, maybe about a 75. Do a high grind for this. It's not necessary for the AeroPress for it to be super finely ground. It's certainly not maca. Probably about pour over. Maybe a little finer. I know that if it gets too fine, it'll start clogging and it'll get a lot harder to press through. Just like an espresso, which maybe you want. I don't know. Let's try 60. Tell with it. We're gonna do about 19 grams of coffee in this, I think. So the fella came over, did a presentation, and we had everybody over, everybody that wanted to participate, over to watch his presentation. It was very good. Basically PowerPoint on a little screen. Well, a decent-sized iPad screen. So, and it seems very comprehensive. He explained everything really well. So, it does that. Very strange. Oh well. For the money, I thought, and we thought, it made sense. We even had them price out the garage. Garage was a lot more expensive, so which made sense, of course, but still, you gotta. It's not broken. There's no cracks running through it where there shouldn't be. It is stained, but it's a 5-year-old garage where we actually park our cars on it. So, yeah, it's not that big a deal for us, I think. So, I don't need the scale for this at the moment now. Yeah, I'm gonna need a spoon. So yeah, so we're gonna have that done. Oh shoot, I guess I do need the... No, I don't. I just fill it up. Just fill it up. Should be enough coffee to carry here. Get it up. Stir it a little bit. Try not to disturb the cherries on the bottom. And then fill it up. And then I'm gonna quickly put this away. Quickly put this on. And then, oh, I see what I did wrong. Do you see what I did wrong, folks, with the inverted method? Inverted method means inverted, not start like this and then invert. I was thinking inverted method and then flipping it over, doing the exact reverse of what the inverted method was. The inverted method is starting with this entire apparatus upside down right here. And then, which it would have made it hard to do the cherries. So what I did was proper for what we are doing. My autopilot fixed what I was doing to make it correct, basically. Because I would have, the cherries would have probably, I mean, the odds are 50-50 that the cherry halves would have landed properly during the push down. So at least I know right now they are. So this will brew fine. The stopper is making it so there's enough suction in the chamber for the water to not pass through. So I think we're going to be okay with regards to that. Not a lot of water is going to pass. Some water has already passed through, but I think we'll be fine. And then with the actual physical pressure of the stopper pushing down on the cherries, we should see some cherry flavor, which I'm very excited about. So we're going to let that go for about 2 minutes. And then go from there. So yeah, it's pretty bad. It got worse over this winter. The crack had started forming, but the waters this spring has gotten underneath the whatever they laid on top of it, which was an incredibly thin coating of something. I want to say it was just paint. They just flooded the crack with paint and then painted the rest of it, and it lasted like a year and a half. So they're going to have to grind it down to the bare concrete. We have a low spot that they said they're going to level out. And I thought for what was being done, which is a lot, it was not that expensive. They have a minimum amount for some reason. And if you go on the minimum, I don't know if anyone's ever bought a house, and I discovered that that's kind of how some home builders work, and maybe even MI worked that way with its builds in certain situations. If you don't meet a minimum required dollar amount for your home build, you get put on a list where they will start building those houses from like, unless they're in a quad like this, usually they want to build the quads together. And even if one isn't sold, they'll put it up for sale. That's what they did with these houses. All the quads were built relatively together because it wouldn't make any sense to like do the two outgoing houses facing the street and then leaving one back here in the corner to be built later. Wouldn't make any sense if it wasn't sold, because then they would have to bring all of that stuff in here in between two houses. So it's easier to just build all 4 of these houses all together. And if it's not a community like that, if it's homes that are just regular freestanding homes on their own little bit of property, you get put on a list, and they take however much your house is going to be worth, and then they're going to put you in that list accordingly. So you may have 6 people ahead of you to get your house built. Now that probably won't take very long, especially with how some home builders are shortcutting anymore. I'm pushing now, so we're gonna get this coffee out of here. I ought to swirl it a little bit. Yeah, I'll be all right. But you'll put on a list, and depending on how much you've paid, that's how quickly they'll get to your house. This kind of stuff is actually the exact same way. If you don't meet a minimum dollar amount, I'm going to press to the hiss, and I'm going to press, and I'm going to give it a little bit extra force so I can get a little bit of that cherry juice out of there. And then we'll see what we can see here. Might be a little bit in there. But if you don't meet a minimum dollar amount, you're put on a list. You're going to get your stuff done, but it might not be as quickly as you think. It may be 2 weeks out rather than the week you think you should be able to get it done, or maybe in a month out. So you're put on a list, and your job list, and then, you know, depending on, because they also have to bring everything out here. So they have a lot of stuff in the back of a truck that comes out here to do what needs to be done. Now, because we had 2 other households here that would have been done basically all at the same time, that minimum didn't matter because we were already going to provide them with enough to justify coming out, enough work to justify coming out here all at once. So we didn't have to exactly meet that minimum because we had additional people. We met the minimum because the porch is big and the job that needs to be done is a little bit more, because there is a low spot that needs to be kind of smoothed out a little bit. But so we met the minimum. I don't know how the other people, whether they met it or not. I would assume the one person did because her front porch is a little bit larger than ours. And then our neighbors is the exact same front porch as ours. But they would probably not go for the higher, because they had several tiers of, like four tiers of finish, basically. The lower tiers kind of looked like a lot more decorative, and then the higher tiers looked a lot more like finished concrete almost, except that it had more character in it. So there was just a lot. There was like 4 options, and then within those options there were many colors, and there was this really pretty blue one in the third option. But that really wouldn't work for our front porch. That would be more for a garage. But for the front porch, we picked the highest tier, which is what kind of got us over the minimum amount. The other lady also picked the highest tier, which would get her over the minimum amount. The other folks probably would not. Just saying, you know, just cause, you know, that's not, they actually said that they liked the larger kind of flakes in it. So, you know, and then the other thing we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to, once we get this going, we have to get it approved by the HOA so that, you know, they know that what's going on is going on. It shouldn't be difficult. What we picked looks like concrete, but a little bit warmer. So it'll look almost exactly like the same thing that's on there now, which is like a gray, except it will have flecks of warmth in it. So it'll be interesting. Okay, now, I'm expecting this to just taste like the La Bendicion. Mm-hmm. And I'm correct. Let's see if we can get a little look-see here if anything got moved around or not. Okay, well, let's see. We do have some cherry juice. There's a little bit of red coming through there, a little bit. That looks more pulpy than anything else. But, well, I mean, it can't be pulpy. But here's the cherry. I wonder, should I do a silly thing? Maybe because it sat there and got warm, we get a little bit more cherry out of it. I don't know. I definitely don't taste any. So there's not enough imparted. I do know that, though, that these cherries are very, very tasty and very... you can kind of see, it almost looks like a Black Forest cake. There's our 2 cherries right there, squished. So they were squished. It's just, you know, they didn't impart a lot of juice. Which, you know, I mean, that's why people don't use cherries. That's why people use raspberries, you know. Even strawberries. I've got strawberries in there that I should try. But cherries just don't lend themselves to... It was a good grind, too. Smells like cherries. Just doesn't lend itself to a good juicing, you know? I've got key limes, too. Oh, God, I just had a horrible thought. should slice a key lime. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow, and I'll put it in the espresso. Well, we could do that today, and I could do the espresso machine. I don't know. I don't know how long this is gone. I may want to wait until tomorrow to do that, and I think I actually will. I think I'll wait until tomorrow. I've got limes because I made that key lime pie. The key lime pie turned out nice. It was a little too sweet. Everybody liked it, which is, you know, the point. But personally, I said to myself that it was a little too sweet. It was had 2 cans of sweetened condensed milk in it, which I think might be a little too much. I think 1 can would have been sufficient. And then I only had a full cup of lime juice. I didn't have like a cup and a half. I like a lot of lime. It's key limes, so I had key limes. These little lovelies. These little key limes, which I will use one. I'll slice one thin, and we're going to use it tomorrow. And I'm going to try to find a light roast up there that will provide us with some pucker power. But the One Line Coffee, this is a really good coffee. You can taste the black grape, which is fascinating. Sometimes you don't get. Somebody will say that if there's a raspberry, sometimes you'll get a lot of raspberry. But with this, you definitely get like a black grape flavor. Which is, you know, actually fascinating and really delicious. So yeah, the juices of the cherry did not impart anything into this coffee. It is delicious. It is mellow. It is really fun to drink. And I'm going to get another one at some point because this bag is almost empty. Is there anything else I wanted to do or talk about? No, not really. Tomorrow, I'll cut up a key lime, and we will put it in this thing, in one of these. Yeah, I heated this up, but it's always good to be ready if something else. If this would have failed and tasted like shit, I'd gone to this and thrown that down the sink. But it didn't. Everything turned out well. I mean, the coffee itself is good anyway. So we'll try that tomorrow. We'll do a lime slice in an espresso, and then I've got the half and half, and we'll make something frothy and halfy at the second half. So anyway, thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. We'll see in August how everything goes. I'm pretty excited. I know the Neighbors looks fantastic, and it was like a second tier from the top. And what I mean by that is like the lowest tier doesn't cost as much to do because there's a lot less. It doesn't change the warranty, nor does it change the quality. It just changes the aesthetic. It just changes how it looks. So the lower tier you get, the more color rather than just whites and grays you'll get in the final product, because they lay down all of the epoxy, and then and he described it like feeding chickens. They throw out the colors that you've chosen, so it's like a random pattern, and it looks really nice. So they throw all of that out, they let it cure, and then they buff everything, and then they put it down to a polish. And it looks really good on our Neighbors. But we really wanted something that looked more like concrete with little flecks of warmth in it, and we found that. And I think it's called Calypso with them. But it's a beautiful color, and it looked really good on all of the pictures, both in sunlight and in shade and in partial shade. So it'll look really good on our front porch, and that's what we are going to go for. And like I said, for what it is. It doesn't fix the foundation, but breaking. It just seals the crack so that no more water can get down inside of it. And then they guarantee that against moisture and a lot of different things. It was mainly the moisture. Apparently a lot of companies that do like the 1-day surface coatings on like garages and front porches and back porches and patios, they don't guarantee water issues. If water comes up, damages what they've done to it, they don't cover that in a warranty, which I don't know. He was very proud of the fact that they do cover that in warranty. So if something, because I mean, they do so much. They do a lot. They do like one layer and then another layer of something else. And then they do the layer of the chips that they put in. And then they put another layer on top of that. And then they buff everything out. So, I mean, there's like, it's almost like a quarter of an inch of things that go in, around, and on top of the concrete. So then that's after they've taken everything off of the very top layer of concrete. So, I mean, and then they're going to smooth and take care of the cracks and the low spots. So for all of that, I thought it was incredibly reasonable. So personally, I don't know a lot about things, but I do know how to breathe in deeply if something costs too much. I learned that from my mother. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. We will talk to you tomorrow. Get your key lime boots on, whatever the hell that means. I don't even know where that came from in my mind. And we will do a slice of key lime in our espresso tomorrow. That'll be fun, weird, and I can't wait to do it. We will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.